Hello witches, I am High Priestess or Venus. Thank you for joining me on Instagram, Facebook, X, or YouTube here live for this very important message, especially if you are seriously thinking about joining a coven. A coven is a group of witches that come together. They come together to do spells, rituals, hexes, and curses, follow the phases of the moon, worship a particular god or goddess. So very quickly, before I get into this broadcast, be sure to share this broadcast with a witch or two or three. Call some people, text some people, email some people, direct message some people and tell them that there is a high priestess here in New York. Once again, my name is High Priestess or Venus, who is anointed and appointed by the Queen of Witches Hecate to be a voice for witches who have ears to hear and hands to receive Hecate's best. One problem that I see among so-called high priests and high priestesses is that their coven members are not having prosperity. You see this also in the Christian church. In Christian churches, you see the pastor having 2 houses, bragging about having a Rolex, bragging about having a Chanel bag, Chanel earrings, a Versace belt, but yet their members don't have any of those things. And the pastor says, well, God, Jesus wants me to have 2 houses, a private jet, a Chanel bag, a Versace belt, Chanel earrings, but not you, because you are not chosen. You don't have the things that I have because you are a sinner. No, the reason why your pastor has all of these things, both male and female, is because they are only interested in your money. When you give 10% of your check, it goes to their houses, their cars, their clothes, their jewelry. And then they falsely claim that God, Jesus, wants them to have these things. And yet the members of their church has to work harder to obtain it for themselves. That's a problem. So I feel like this message is also for Christians a little bit, even though I'm not a Christian. I am a witch. I am a high priestess. But mostly this message is for witches who are thinking about being in a coven or already in a coven. If your coven members don't have what you have or have better than what you have, that's not a coven. The high priest, the high priestess cannot be the only one prospering. The high priest, the high priestess cannot be the only one living a prosperous life, living the good life, having nice things, living in a safe neighborhood, having the perfect spouse, having the perfect clothes and shoes and cars. Let me say this also. It's not materialistic to want nice things. It's not bad to want nice things. It's not bad to want a good life for yourself and your loved ones and friends. That's not bad. It's only bad when it controls your life choices. Because money really is money. Money comes and goes. But your friends and family who truly have love for you, hopefully will remain. Key word being hopefully will remain. It's only bad when those things become choices in your life between people that actually love you. That Chanel bag does not love you. Those 2 houses don't care about you. Those 4 cars don't care about you. Those materialistic things. Your family, your real family, people that actually love you, people who will actually tell you the truth, your true blue friends that actually care about you, those are real things. It is a problem, a big problem that is beginning in our covens, in which the high priest, the high priestess is prospering, but their members are not. When you do witchcraft, Witchcraft is working with the energy found in nature to bring about real, significant, and permanently positive change. If your members of your coven is not experiencing that, if they don't have that, that's not a coven, that's a club. That is not a high priest or high priestess. That's just a teacher at a low level elementary school. Call it what it is. Call it what it is. That is not a high priest or high priestess. That is a low level elementary school teacher. That might sound harsh, but it's also true. Everybody, not just the high priest, not just the high priestess, is prospering. All the members are prospering. If all the members are not prospering, that's because somebody is not doing their job. Their job is to do real world action. Spells do not work, will never work, unless you do real world action. The only time you don't do real world action is if you are putting a hex or a curse on someone. That job belongs to the Coven's chosen god or goddess. You do not ever take a hex or curse into your own hands, because your chosen god or goddess can do worse on your behalf. You can't take out the enemy with a hex or curse by doing real world action. That job is for your chosen god or goddess, because they are above you. They are more powerful than you. They can get the job done. You can, but they can't. He or she can't, but they can. Everybody in the coven has got to be prospering. If you are currently in a coven and you are not seeing real, significant, and permanently positive change, run away, get out. You can always leave. It's okay. Listen very carefully, because I feel like somebody needs to hear this. It's okay to be a solitary witch. Just because you are a witch does not mean you are required to be part of a coven. If you are a witch, you do not have to be part of a coven. You don't. You can branch out on your own. You can be solitary, and guess what? Your spells, rituals, hexes, and curses will still work the same. There is no change just because you walk the path of the wise alone. When I had my coven, all my members were prospering. All of them. Because my focus is to have these witches have a more magically blessed life. Because no witch, listen very carefully, because this is important. No witch should be going through life the hard way. What happens in the rest of the world will not happen in your world as a witch. Because you are supernaturally covered. You are supernaturally protected from the evils and grief and sorrow and horrific things in the world. I said this 1,000 times. Witches live with one foot in the natural world and the other foot in the supernatural world. Witches are never ever completely in one world. Witches always live with one foot in the natural world and the other foot in the supernatural world. That's very important. That is definitely a message for somebody that needs to hear it. All your members have to be prospering. Work with your coven members. You don't have to be so involved in their lives, because witches, believe it or not, do have a life outside of being a witch, but you must be involved in their magical life as a high priest or a high priestess. You can't just let them go off on their own and have them confused as to why their spells are not producing results or doing nothing or producing little itty bitty tiny results. No, when you do a spell, you want crystal, not to be funny, but it's true. Not to be funny, but it's true. Crystal clear results. As a witch, you want your spells, rituals, hexes, and curses to have crystal clear results. Crystal clear results. You don't want your spell to work, a little bit. It's small results. No, you want your spell to work as you intended it to do. For a spell to produce small results, that's not just disappointing, that's embarrassing as a witch. That's embarrassing as a witch. As a witch, you want your spells to work. As a witch, for many of you watching this broadcast, you want your spell to finally work. But check out the coven that you are in. Check out the high priest or high priestess that you are in. Are they helping you? The point of a high priest and high priestess, first and foremost, is to be a service to their chosen God or goddess. So for me personally, my service first and foremost is to Hecate. My second service is to the witches of my coven, to make sure that it is not just me having fame, fortune, money, clothes, houses, men. I want, and my coven's members must also have those things if they so desire it. Because no witch should be going through life the hard way. No witch should be going through life the hard way. Life is hard for everybody else who is not a witch. Too bad. But for you, the witch, your life really, literally will be smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. You will not jump through hoops. You will not struggle in life. You will not worry about how to keep the bills on. You will not have to worry about where your next meal is coming from. You won't cry yourself to sleep. When you become a witch, your whole life changes. When you join a coven, your whole world changes, because you are directly in contact with a servant. You are in direct contact with a servant of your chosen God or goddess, who speaks on their behalf and therefore speaks life into you, and therefore produces real significant and permanently positive change just because they exist and just because you are a member of their coven. So if you are currently in a coven who is not prospering with their members, you can leave. You did not sign any contract with the high priest or high priestess, him or herself. You signed a contract with your chosen God or goddess, and you can always leave. You are not being held hostage. You can leave to go to another coven, or you can choose to be a solitary witch. But you are not loyal, I would go that far and say, to the high priest or the high priestess. You are loyal to your chosen God or goddess. I'm loyal to Hecate. Who are you loyal to? Because a lot of witches, especially new witches, find themselves loyal to the high priest or high priestess. No, you are to be loyal to your chosen God or goddess, because they are the ones who adds their strength to your own efforts. They are. You don't necessarily need a high priestess or a high priest unless you are in a coven. The high priestess's job is to guide the members of their coven towards real, significant, and permanently positive change. So they may not go through life the hard way. Nobody wants to struggle. But if your high priest or high priestess has all of these great, amazing, beautiful things and you don't, that's a problem. You don't have to, if you don't want to confront the high priest or high priestess, you can just leave it alone and walk away. Because like I just said, you can always leave. You're not obligated to stay, because your loyalty lies with your chosen God or goddess. but you must be prospering too. If you are in a coven and the high priestess has all these great things going on, wearing all of these beautiful clothes, beautiful cars, beautiful homes, beautiful jewelry, and you don't, that's a problem. Now, some of you witches might say, well, I don't want all of those things. I just want Hecate. And that's fine. That's fine. And to speak on that, the high priestess must always point you back to the Coven's chosen god or goddess. The high priestess must always remind you that it is the god or goddess that adds their strength to your own efforts. Always, always, always. The high priestess is a servant of the chosen god or goddess. That's true. But it is their responsibility to always point you back to the chosen god or goddess and remind you constantly, all the time, that your efforts will be met with their strength, not from the high priest or the high priestess, him or herself. I know some of you witches are currently in covens where there is no prosperity. There is no abundance. There is no happiness. There is no real, significant, and permanently positive change happening. You should leave. You should leave. Maybe you are better off by yourself. Maybe another coven is right for you. It's a choice that every witch eventually will have to make. But the choice, listen very carefully, the choice is yours to make. It is always yours to make. Check out your coven. Check out your high priest or high priestess. If you are not experiencing real, significant, and permanently positive change, something is very wrong there and you need to leave. I suggest that you leave. Get out of there now. Everybody, not just the high priest and high priestess, should be prospering. It should not just be the high priest or high priestess that is a millionaire, multimillionaire. So should every single coven member. Witchcraft is working with the energy found in nature to bring about real, significant, and permanently positive change. That's the definition of witchcraft. Spells can only work if you do something that I'm famous for saying, real world action. Nothing changes if nothing changes. That includes what coven you are in. Because many of you witches really are better off alone, better off being a solitary witch. Because guess what? You are still as powerful as the coven that you left. Most witches join covens to have a sense of community, but mostly some of you need to walk the path of the wise alone. And that's okay. So I wanted to come on here live and just talk about this because it is happening currently now in some covens. High priests and high priestesses prospering and their coven members are not. That's a problem. I don't like that. Hecate does not like that. So thank you, witches, for taking time out of your day to come on to this live stream. Once again, my name is High Priestess Autumn Phoenix. Be sure to tell a witch or two or three, and be sure to call some people, text some people, email some people, and tell them that I am here in New York. I'm anointed and appointed by the Queen of Witches, Hecate, to be a voice for witches who have ears to hear and hands to receive Hecate's best. Bye, everyone.